Ashoka is 10 years old. We're in our 11th year. About 3,500 students now, about 150 faculty.
Plaksha introduced new engineering disciplines that are interdisciplinary in nature.
Yeah.
So, how are these disciplines performing?
Right? An elevator. You climb into an elevator. It's half a computer, half an electrical machine, and the other is mechanical. So everything around us, the problems are different. They need an interdisciplinary approach. So engineering disciplines have to become interdisciplinary. Our best master's talent, our best talent is not going into Indian MTech programs. It's going abroad into MS programs.
Right.
It's going to a MIT, it's going to a Stanford, it's going to a Cornell. Last policy, if I remember, came in 1986.
Right. Yeah.
So this one came in 21. So it's,
India's education system has been undergoing a quiet revolution, with new institutions leading the charge in redefining how we approach learning. One such leader in this space is committed to transforming higher education through innovative approaches and interdisciplinary learning. A graduate of IIT Delhi with a degree in mechanical engineering, he has spent over 2 decades creating institutions that focus on critical thinking, research, and holistic development. Among his most prominent contributions is Ashoka University, often referred to as the Harvard of India, for its pioneering role in liberal arts education. He is also instrumental in setting up Plaksha University, which aims to revolutionize the way engineering and technology are taught in India. Today, we are honored to speak with Vineet Gupta, the founder of Ashoka and Plaksha Universities and co-founder of Jamboree Education, which is one of India's leading education abroad companies. Now, let's hear it from him. So, welcome to the Indian Business Times podcast, Vineet sir.
thank you.
मैं काफ़ी टाइम से सोच रहा था आपको इनवाइट करने का एंड फाइनली यू आर हियर सो थैंक यू फॉर स्पेयरिंग सम टाइम एंड टॉकिंग विद अस
My pleasure.
सो वील रश टू द क्वेश्चन सर सो टॉकिंग अबाउट योर यूनिवर्सिटीज सो अशोका यूनिवर्सिटी इज ऑलरेडी 10 years old and Plaksha University is almost 3 years old now, but I know that these universities function on a philanthropic model. तो मैं जानना चाहूँगा और व्यूअर्स भी जानना चाहेंगे कि फिलैंथ्रोपिक मॉडल यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में इसका सिग्निफिकेंस क्या है. दिस इज़ वन क्वेश्चन. एंड हाउ हैज़ फिलैंथ्रोपी impacted the growth and mission of your institutions, and what can be the long term benefits for the Indian education system through philanthropy?
So both these institutions are, if I may say, are on a model of collective philanthropy, which means a large number of people have donated to make these institutions happen.
Okay.
So Ashoka University today has more than 250 large donors,
Okay.
and it has collected almost more than 3,000 crore in philanthropy. Plaksha University has more than 125 donors.
All right.
They've collected more than 1,000 crore.
Mhm.
So this model, at least I find in the context of university building, is extremely beneficial. Firstly, universities are meant for the good of society.
Mhm.
They're meant to educate people, they're meant to create new knowledge, they're meant to create new technologies. So really for the betterment of people, society.
Okay.
And I think if these kind of missions are taken up in a not-for-profit manner,
Mhm.
in a collective philanthropy manner, then they generate the most success.
Mhm.
Because then people are not sort of wedded to profit. You're not taking your actions to make money.
Right.
You are doing actions really for the good of society and people.
Right.
So collective philanthropy model, I feel, in the context of institution building, in the context of universities, is a great model.
Mhm.
And if you look at some of world's top universities,
Mhm.
Harvard, Chicago, University of Chicago, Stanford, Yale, they've all been built on
Collective
this model.
philanthropy. Okay. All right.
And so that's first benefit for the collective good of people and society.
Mhm.
Second, I think the collective philanthropy model also allows you to generate more resources.
True.
It's more difficult to raise resources
Right.
because collective philanthropic money is not easy to raise,
Mhm.
but uh, the reach is much more, because
Right.
you can go to many more people, and if people feel then that you are doing good work,
Mhm.
then they are willing to come forward and contribute.
All right.
So your reach expands.
Mhm.
And I think the third is that through this philanthropic capital, then you can also support many students who can't afford to pay your fee. In Ashoka, almost 20 to 25% students now are on full scholarship,
Full scholarship.
and similar around at Plaksha. So, you don't become an institution just for people who can afford to pay, but you
Right.
can truly create an institution where, people from all sort of walks of life are
Right.
welcome to study in. So, I feel this has a great potential. Uh, there are many philanthropic institutions already in India. Many are family philanthropy,
Acha.
like BITS Pilani is the philanthropy of the Birlas.
Okay.
The Shiv Nadar University is from the Shiv Nadar family. The OP Jindal University is all Jindal family, and I think they are all doing some great work.
Right. I actually didn't know that they also work on a philanthropic
Yeah,
model.
their philanthropic model, although philanthropy is mostly from one single family or one single space, which I think is a good model too. I just feel collective philanthropy helps to broaden the network,
Right.
broaden the reach, and you
Right.
can also raise more resources.
Correct. So, sir, like you said, that 250 founders Ashoka has and more than 125 plus Plaksha has. So, is it like the list of these founders will ever end, or it can be unstoppable and it can keep
That's
on
a good
increasing?
question. So far, we've, I think in the life of an institution, we are still early. Institutions live for centuries. So we feel we are still early. So people who are coming in as donors now, we still give them a founder tag.
Okay.
At some point, we'll stop. I don't think we've decided whether that number is 300 or 250 or
Right.
400, but at least I think for some time this will continue.
But you are one of the very early founders. I think it was your brainchild along with only
Well,
a few
yes,
people.
in Ashoka, I had started, and a group of friends of mine, we started to think about setting up a university in 2007. And there were some other people, Sanjeev Bikhchandani, Ashish Dhawan, Pramad, who were all we all came together,
Right.
and
Right.
this university came up. So yes, this idea was in my mind, but this idea was also in the mind of some other people. And we
Right.
all sort of came together,
Wonderful.
and I think I've been privileged to get an opportunity to be a part of this institution from early on and to help build it. And
Right. Right.
I mean, I think there is no better work than this. So I've really enjoyed doing
Right. That's great,
within
sir.
the
Pretty
institution.
wonderful to know all of this. So moving on to the next question, sir. सर NEP को अभी ऑलमोस्ट 4 years हो गए हैं. So NEP अभी recently काफ़ी NEP के criticism भी काफ़ी हुआ and some people were in the favor also. So what do you think are the tangible results of the national education policy, and what do you foresee from NEP for the future of Indian education?
Yeah. Well, I think I would say it's still a little early, but I think some results of NEP are already there to see. For example, one of the recommendations of the NEP was the 4-year undergraduate program,
Right.
right? And there you see many universities, including Delhi University,
Mm-hmm.
which, if you remember, way back in 2014, they wanted to become a 4-year program and they were not able to.
Right.
But now, after NEP, they have become a 4-year
4 year.
program
Okay.
for all degrees,
Mhm.
which Ashoka had already sort of really pushed when we started in 2014, but the law of the land didn't allow.
Mhm.
But we find now lots of universities, depending on speed, are adopting the 4-year program. That has already happened. The second thing I find increasingly, which as a result of NEP, the credit transfer. You can transfer after 2 years, after 3 years, after 4 years to other institutions, and credits will be transferred. That is starting.
So academic bank of credits.
Academic
That's
bank
the
of
name.
credit. So that I think is starting to happen. And
Okay.
institutions are more and more open to accept people with credits. Third, I find NEP had laid a lot of emphasis on multidisciplinary education.
Mhm.
There you can find in lots of universities now in curriculum, you are finding the element of multidisciplinary education coming in. You are also finding courses around life skills, critical thinking, problem solving, courses around 21st century skills. Some of those courses one increasingly is seeing in syllabus. So I think those are advantages. NEP had also spoken about at some point foreign universities and campuses being allowed to come into India. These are early signs.
Right.
But the GIFT City already has 2 campuses which have come up, Deakin and one more. And recently I was reading that University of Southampton
Acha.
from the United Kingdom, they want to set up a campus in
Campus
India.
in India. Wonderful.
So that is, so all in all, I think one is seeing some green shoots,
Mm-hmm.
and but it's still early. Institutions are adapting, but I think it's headed in the right
In
manner
the
and in
right
a positive
direction.
way.
Okay. Right, right. So obviously, a national education policy will give its results in
Yes,
coming maybe four to
maybe a
five
decade
years
or two
or
decades. Yeah,
decade or 2 decades.
yeah,
Okay, it's a long term plan actually.
yeah.
So,
The
sir,
last policy, if I remember, came in 1986 model.
right? Yeah.
So this one came in 21. So it's
Okay, but I think it's like you said, it's headed in a good direction.
yes,
So let's wait for the impact.
yes.
So, sir, Ashoka and Plaksha are now well established institutions. So, what stage are they at in their development, and what significant impact they have had, your universities so far have had in the Indian education system?
Ashoka is 10 years old. We're in our 11th year. About 3,500 students now, about 150 faculty.
Okay.
Many distinctive research centers. We finished building one full campus of 25 acres, but the vision is to
Hmm.
expand to a 95-acre campus. We are, when fully built, probably likely to be 7,000 students. So I think Ashoka is executing very well on the plan it
Hmm.
laid out for itself. The vision is to be about a 7,000 university campus. On teaching, Ashoka has already established a very good name,
Hmm.
and I think Ashoka has helped to redefine liberal arts education,
Right.
which was not understood in India,
Correct.
and it
Correct.
made this whole interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary liberal arts education.
Hmm.
Uh, I think it sort of brought that idea to India, which idea had been existing outside, but
Hmm.
not so much so inside.
Hmm.
And we see now many universities, some even before us, but many now have a school of liberal arts or are really embedding the ideology of a liberal arts education in their curriculum.
Hmm.
We increasingly see that.
Hmm.
Kriya University, which is in Andhra, in
Anchan,
down south,
right,
close
right.
to
Andhra.
Chennai,
Okay,
on the border
right.
of Chennai and Andhra, is actually inspired by Ashoka, and they
Hmm.
are fully independent on a collective philanthropy model
Okay.
and doing quite well. And uh, they were inspired by what Ashoka was doing, and then sort of got down to building
Hmm.
their university. And then every now and then I receive some information or some call from somewhere where people sort of want to bring an Ashoka like university to their state.
Wonderful.
Plaksha
Hmm.
is finished. We are in our fourth year now. We finished three, and is still early. About 600 students.
Okay.
The first part of the campus is getting built.
Hmm.
Uh, but I think the new engineering disciplines that we help to sort of define are coming up quite well. People are excited. This year we've taken in a class of almost 190 students,
Okay.
and when we started, the class was 90, so we almost doubled the class size. Number of applications have really grown. Praksha has also really built some very distinctive research centers
Hmm.
around water security, around really the effect of climate change.
Hmm.
So Plaksha is really working on using technology to help solve some of the biggest problems that exist around us, whether in health, whether in agriculture, whether in climate.
Hmm.
And we are seeing some early signs of good effort coming out of these research centers.
Hmm.
So both on the dimension of teaching and the dimension of research, I think Plaksha is firmly establishing itself as a leader. And you will hear
Hmm.
conversation when people speak about what should be engineering and technology what should engineering and technology education look like.
Correct.
People sort of really
Hmm.
mention Plaksha.
Right.
So very good early signs,
Hmm.
very close to where we are speaking and talking in Chandigarh. So we
Right.
just
Right. Right.
on the outskirts of the Chandigarh airport. Beautiful
Hmm.
campus coming up. You should go sometime
Definitely, I
since you are
would.
so close. Uh, I feel Plaksha has a great future, and
Hmm.
it will sort of really define a new vision for engineering and technology. And I think Plaksha's education is also going to help influence and change engineering education in India.
Other engineering
Yeah,
colleges as well.
I mean, I recently
Hmm.
saw a new degree from IIT Madras
Okay.
in data science, And I thought it looked very much like a Plaksha degree. Hopefully it was really inspired by their own thought.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Plaksha is ahead of its
Other
peers,
of its
much
peers, right?
ahead, 5, 7, 10 years ahead
Mm-hmm.
of what other engineering institutions are doing. And much of what we are doing, you will see that other institutions will
Follow.
follow very quickly.
Right. So, sir, you've mentioned about how Plaksha University has different engineering disciplines. So, I would like to ask. So, Plaksha introduced new engineering disciplines that are interdisciplinary in nature.
Yeah.
So, how are these disciplines performing? And I've also heard that the students, who are from Plaksha and these interdisciplinary education system, may not perform very well in the MTech programs. So, how would you take
Well, I
on that?
I don't totally. Firstly, let me say I think see engineering is the application. The fundamental definition of engineering is the application of science to solve real problems around us. Right. So it's
Right,
an applied science.
right,
Now, I think problems around us are changing. Cars have changed. Machinery has changed. The problems you and I are dealing with today are very different from the problems 30 years ago. Right.
correct.
Now, if our problems have changed, fundamentally the way we look at them and the way we solve them has to change.
Right,
So, engineering disciplines, the way we know them today, they were sort of invented after World War One, World War Two. Electrical, mechanical, civil. Civil was perhaps one of the first disciplines when bridges and roads needed to be built,
right,
and some of these other disciplines came in as and when there was requirement of problem solving, and that's the reason IT or information technology, computer science are some of the latest disciplines.
correct. Sir,
They
have
came in the 70s,
right,
80s, right?
right, right, right.
uh, Now problems are very interdisciplinary.
Hmm.
A car is as much mechanical as a computer system and an electrical system, right?
Right,
An elevator, you climb into an elevator, it's half a computer, half an electrical machine, and the other is mechanical. So everything around us, the problems are different, they need an interdisciplinary approach. So engineering disciplines have to become interdisciplinary. And I will actually push back and say, I mean, look at engineering disciplines around us today. Most mechanical engineers, civil engineers are finding it difficult to get employed.
and what's
They
the
end up
reason?
working in Infosys and TCS as software engineers, right?
Yes, yes.
Because those disciplines have not reinvented. It's not that we are building less roads. Those disciplines have not reinvented,
Right.
right? So I think those disciplines fundamentally need to reinvent. A civil engineer today also needs to look at the complexity of environment around them, right? So will it be better crafted if it were to be just in engineering in building technologies, right? Just
Right,
so you have to fundamentally integrate computer science into every discipline.
right,
So I think institutions, my personal view is, I may be wrong, that institutions which do not invent their engineering disciplines will have to do so, if not now, maybe in 5 years, maybe in 10 years.
right.
Now, this point that you made about us to now our MTech requirements mostly, which are mostly in our IITs and other, they continue to rely on intake from existing disciplines.
The
So
old
it may
disciplines,
happen.
right?
They may want mechanical engineers, so it may take some time to adapt.
Mm.
But I went to IIT Delhi too. And I should tell you that while our BTech programs and our IITs have done exceptionally well, I can't unfortunately say the same for our MTech programs. That's a reality.
Okay.
Our best masters talent, our best talent is not going into Indian MTech programs. It's going abroad into MS programs.
Right.
It's going to a MIT, it's going to a Stanford, it's going to a Cornell. Our brightest talent who wants to go to do masters are going abroad,
Right.
right?
Right.
So, and the MTech programs really need to wake up.
Right.
The MTech programs in the country really need to wake up and see what they want to do differently. Otherwise, they will die a natural death.
Right.
People going into MTech programs, some of them are then writing competitive exams. Some of them, and very good ones, are also joining the public sector. But the MTech programs need major reinvention. So if there is any program in the country which is aspiring to send its students to MTech programs, I think that's a very low level of aspiration, right? So I would actually challenge that assumption quite well. Maybe so.
Right. Right. So it's not like the students are not being admitted to MTech, but they are choosing to go abroad and do MS from universities.
Just
like you,
because the MTech programs in India have not really done as well.
right. So correct, sir. Like The reinvention is definitely required in that.
How many times do you hear that our brightest are going abroad? That's a fact.
That's a fact, sir. That's a
And
fact.
there are some good MTech programs in India, but very you can literally count them 2, 3, 4.
So, sir, research की भी बात करते हैं. So, research is a vital part not just for a university's success, but it is also a crucial part for a nation's progress. So, how have your universities made any significant contributions in the research and development? And what areas of research are you most proud of?
So that's a great question, Akshay. And so both the institutions have been set up with a very clear research mission, and we want to be outstanding research institutions. Also want to be outstanding teaching institutions. Ashoka is more mature. It's been 10 years, so there's some significant progress. There is research happening in Ashoka in the humanities, in the social sciences. There's some significant research efforts in economics, around data and economics.
Okay.
There's some research effort around data science. There's some research effort on biosciences. We've taken a huge position and now building a big facility. It's early. It's early, but I think in times to come, you will see more and more research coming out of Ashoka. Plaksha is even younger, but Plaksha, even at a younger age of 3 years, is taken a bit of a good start on research.
Okay.
And as I mentioned, Plaksha's research efforts are really using technology to solve big problems. So, Center for Water Security, Center for effect, how can technology really impact climate change and make things better. There's effort in again in biotechnology. There's effort in IoT.
Right.
There's effort in robotics. Again, effort in data sciences, in financial technologies. So Plaksha has built some very distinctive labs, and if you go there and have a look, I mean, they're outstanding and state of the art. And you find faculty from various disciplines really working together to solve big problems. You find students working to solve problems, and Plaksha has come up with this idea of campus being a living lab. So everything that you want to experiment with outside, first you experiment in your own campus.
Right.
Whether it's building a water secure campus or a sustainable campus, all that is being experimented by our students within, and then take it a little outside to the city of Mohali, and then perhaps take it to the state of Punjab and to the country, right?
Right.
So early science, and the Plaksha leadership is very committed to research. Our Vice Chancellor himself, Professor Rudra Pratap, comes from a very distinctive research background. So early science, but yes, we are firmly committed, and I totally agree. Research is a big part of nation building, and much of the reputation that American universities have built is really around research capability.
Right. So, sir, I've also heard that people relate Ashoka and Plaksha universities with the Harvards, and you know how they call it that it's the Harvard of India, or soon going
Well,
to be.
I am happy to hear that, but honestly, I think the vision is similar, the aspiration is similar. We want to be excellent in everything that we do. But yes, Harvard is a 400-year-old institution, and it will take us.
Took so much time.
It took time. It will
Right.
take us some time, but yes, the aspiration is there. But I think I would put it some other way. I think India has great human capital. India, because of its scale, because of our people, we also have complex problems. So we have an opportunity to really create new institutions, which could be leaders in the 21st century.
Right.
And maybe 50 years or 75 years later, people may want to say you want to become an Ashoka or a Plaksha, and I think that's the way we would like universities abroad to really look at these institutions. I think we have an opportunity to become leaders in what we do.
Okay, that's great. Sir, talking about the post-COVID world, so how has the post-COVID world reshaped the way we approach education, particularly with the rise of online learning? And I've also seen so many institutes just shutting down because they could not adapt well to the online learning that a lot of other players shifted to.
Well, I think some churn has happened, some is going on. I think it's still not over. Uh, I feel in formal education, in universities, in schools, the mandate is very clear. Students want offline, physical. They want to be in the classrooms. They want to be together. They want to be on campus. They want to go to school and not be home. So that mandate is very clear. I don't think online learning is going to replace formal education, right?
Correct.
That debate is not even happening anymore.
Hmm.
I think that debate is settled.
Hmm.
So whether you go to school or you want to go to college, uh, physical education is here to stay. I don't know, at least for the next few years or a decade. But online education is starting to come in a good way in many other ways. If you are a self learner, if you want to gain knowledge, if let's say you today I want to just learn about the health sciences, or I want to learn about any new discipline that I'm not aware of, and I'm willing to learn, then I don't have any barrier. I can go today, find the right courses, and start learning. So self learning has been made very easy.
Mhm.
Online education is also doing well in test preparation. Like I also run a company called Jamboree, where we
Right.
prepare students. Now that preparation is from 3 months to 6 months, and there I'm finding half the students are okay to learn online.
Okay.
Some want to come to the classroom, but half are okay to be learn from home, because they can't travel, they have to go to school in the morning, they have to go to college, so come attend, or some are working, to
Right.
go to work, come in the evening, attend a lecture.
It's
clear
because of the
doubt.
curriculum and what you teach
Absolutely,
also.
because so there I'm finding the online learning is becoming extremely effective. In self learning, it's becoming extremely effective. Technology is playing a great role in making learning easy. So all those places so online learning is also here to stay. Offline is also here to stay. Some places are using a blend of it, and many should. Uh, Schools and colleges are not going away from formal learning, and
Right.
people want physical, but
Right.
online is penetrating many other disciplines, and I think every institution should really decide how can they leverage online. But
Definitely.
online, I think, is becoming a bigger and bigger opportunity, but it's also very clear in which areas that will be an opportunity.
Right. Some disciplines could be better taught online, and
Right,
some definitely
self-learning
require.
disciplines, courses can become more democratized. If today you're a good teacher, you can put up your lecture on YouTube, and people across the world are going to watch it.
Yeah, so we've seen
I mean,
the
you're doing
rise
this
of.
podcast, this can be watched by people, right?
Definitely there. So we've seen the rise of physics wala as well. He
Very
started
exactly.
teaching online, and
Yeah.
although they do have
True.
offline centers more now,
True.
but then that's how they started, right? So sir, collaborations की बात करते हैं. Ashoka University has collaborations with top universities, leading global universities like Yale and Cambridge. So what are the key takeaways from these partnerships, and how do they influence your vision for the Indian higher education system?
Well, I think it totally depends on how institutions leverage these partnerships. What has worked very well in these partnerships is we could leverage visiting faculty. So many faculty from outside have come and taught at these institutions. And Plaksha also, we have a partnership with Cornell. Recently signed a partnership with University of Pennsylvania, the School of Engineering. Berkeley, we've had a partnership for long. Purdue, we have a partnership. So we've leveraged visiting faculty very effectively. We've got some support in designing curriculum, courses, uh, policies. We worked with Purdue quite a bit early on, to when we didn't have faculty of our own, to really build this curriculum. So curriculum design, we got a lot of support. Faculty mentoring, we've got a lot of support. And now I think the stage at Plaksha will be when students can start going to these institutions. That is already happening a lot at Ashoka.
Through
Many of
student exchange
student
programs,
exchange programs, students can go and spend a semester, students can go and spend a summer. So in all of these ways, these partnerships have been extremely effective. Where we would like to take them now is also to collaborate in some of the research missions, which is probably going to take more time, but will happen. So all in all, I think extremely good, great exposure for students, great learning opportunity, great opportunity for our faculty also, because they can also go visit these institutions and undertake research projects.
Right. So sir, student exchange programs की बात कर रहे थे. So Indian students would be more interested going to another university like Yale or
Yeah.
Cambridge. But ये vice versa भी होता है कि
वाइस
Yale
वर्सा
से
अभी,
यहाँ पे आ रहे
दिस अ ग्रेट क्वेश्चन अक्षय. वाइस वर्सा भी इंटरेस्ट कम है. अभी कम है, पर बढ़ रहा है.
अच्छा.
तो अभी हम अशोका में देखते हैं कुछ, आई थिंक वी गेट 15, 20, 30 students every year in the summer. They are coming mostly for Indian immersion, understanding the Indian culture, understanding Indian philosophy. So really, there's interest in India as a country, right?
Right.
which is growing. Um, so I agree with you. There's more interest right now from Indian students,
too.
but on the other high side, you do find students from the SAARC countries, students from African countries,
True that.
Southeast Asia. Many
Right,
of those students want to come to India, and that's happening.
Right, right. So moving on. So, what lessons can Indian universities take from some leading institutions like Harvard and Yale, particularly in curriculum design, research focus, and student development?
But I think the first is, I think the big lesson is all of these universities have very high standards of excellence.
Hmm.
You know, the bar is really very high for anything that they do. Student recruitment, quality of teaching, quality of research. I think that's the one thing we have learned. No shortcuts.
No shortcuts.
No shortcuts. If you ask me one simple, whether it's teaching, whether it's research, whether it's curriculum design, these universities tend to do an extremely thorough job.
Hmm.
And the bar on excellence is extremely high. We somehow, at times, subconsciously tend to lower that bar.
Hmm.
And that does not drive excellence, or that will not help us create world class institutions. So we have to keep the bar high. And India, I think, has enough talent. Our IT companies, by the way, today are world class, right? So
Right.
our educational institutions can become world class too. We have great human capital, right?
Right.
But at a system level, we have to make sure that the bar does not drop, right? And I think that's the one big lesson to be learned. And the second really is make student the focus of everything, right? We somehow we have this approach that our administrators in universities tend to feel that they are sitting on a high pedestal and students are on a lower pedestal.
Lower pedestal.
I think that's not the case. Students are at the center of everything, right? So you have to create student experiences, academic experiences, and opportunities which truly benefit students, and do that as a labor of love, right? Do that as your dharma, I think, right? That I think will really help us create great institutions.
Right. So, just out of curiosity, I'm sure you've met thousands of students in your life, and you've been a part of Ashoka since the very beginning. So, out of curiosity, मैं ये पूछना चाह रहा था कि आपके सामने ऐसे केस स्टडीज हुए हैं कि the student wanted to go abroad
Oh yes, many.
and but they shifted,
Oh yes, many.
decided to go to
Yes,
Ashoka
many,
finally.
many. Every year, hundreds of students. Like we
Uh-huh.
take a class of almost 850 now, so almost I think 100 200 students like that every year. Every year.
Okay, that's wonderful. So, sir, you've been an edupreneur all your life since I know more than 32 years, right? So, जो लोग young entrepreneurs, who want to achieve greater heights in the field of education by being entrepreneurs, उनके लिए क्या advice है?
See, I have only one advice. I see many of these edtech companies coming up, and many have failed. Some have succeeded. I think build your company for the right reason. आप अच्छा काम करो, अच्छे से पढ़ाओ, तो कंपनी बन जाएगी. I find some of our new entrepreneurs chase valuation. आप पहले valuation chase कर रहे हो, तो आप फिर अच्छी कंपनी नहीं बना पाओगे, right? फिर वो बड़ी बन जाएगी, शायद आप पैसा भी कमा लोगे. But I mean, do your work with passion. Create a great company. Whether it's small or big, that destiny will determine. But do your work sincerely. Teach your students well. Create good technologies. Create good experiences, and do your work sincerely.
Right.
And the business will flourish. Business will flower.
Right. Right.
New entrepreneurs, day one, they are chasing valuations. They want to raise. That's fine, But then you are chasing the wrong reasons, right?
Right.
And then often your plans will not.
Right.
And
So,
you won't have the satisfaction of whether you are small or big is different, but everybody can create a good organization,
correct, sir.
whether it remains small or big. I think destiny has a large part to play, but
Absolutely.
you can create a good organization, and that's what
Right.
my advice will be.
That's great, sir. That's great. So, thank you for coming to our podcast, sir. Lovely having you here.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Akshay. My pleasure.
All right. If you like this podcast and want us to do more podcasts like this, then do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Signing off.